legally it's an interesting issue because Arizona, while it has banned same-sex marriage constitutionally, it has not specifically banned civil unions. But you know, I think I've got somebody on the line here who can talk about the law with a lot more authority than I can. Tom Horne, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Tom.
My pleasure.
All right, so I was just telling the audience that the news here is that Bisbee has passed an ordinance legalizing civil unions. First of all, I feel like this kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if your office had any heads up on this or kind of where this came from.
No, we found out about it just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and the news is that you threatened, or I don't know if I want to use the word threatened, but you've said that you will file a lawsuit challenging the new civil union ordinance.
That's correct. I did threaten them. I tried to get them to not do it, and now that they've done it, I will be filing a lawsuit within the next week.
Within the next week? When is the ordinance scheduled to take effect?
I think in 30 days.
Right. You know, legally, this is kind of an interesting issue. I think that I don't know if you want to express an opinion on where you actually stand on the policy of it. I take it that as the Attorney General, you probably do not want to do that.
That's correct. I'm not expressing an opinion on the policy. I'm not saying anything for or against civil unions. There are some civil unions that are not illegal. For example, Phoenix had a civil union provision for registration where to be used for hospital visitations. That doesn't run afoul of any state laws, and so I don't see any problem with that, or any, from my standpoint, any problem with people talking about symbolic civil unions. The problem that we have is that the Bisbee City Council has passed an ordinance that lists seven statutes in 7 separate numbered paragraphs, which they say they're going to change those statutes as they apply within the limits of the city of Bisbee. Well, they can't do that. A state statute applies statewide. A town has only those powers. Towns are not sovereigns, like the state is a sovereign and the federal government is sovereign. The town is not a sovereign. The town is a creation of the state. It has only those powers that are granted to it by the Arizona Constitution or Arizona statutes. And they have granted it powers over purely local matters, parking, speeding, traffic, zoning, public works, and so on. But there are other matters that are considered to be of statewide importance where the legislature passes state statutes. In this case, we're talking about a state statute on community property, a state statute on inheritance, a state statute on appointment of a personal representative, and so on. And what they're doing is those statutes passed by the legislature apply statewide without exception. They don't apply some places of the state and not other places of the state. Now they're saying that in Bisbee, those statutes will not apply as written, that they'll change them, and that's totally beyond their powers. They don't have the power to do that. They have a power to advocate for civil unions. They can go to the legislature and advocate for them. They have precious First Amendment rights to do that, or to try to unelect representatives who won't change them if they want to do that. But they do not have the power to have a city ordinance change a state statute.
So your position is that there is such a thing as a civil union in a municipality that would not violate the state statutes. You mentioned before that Phoenix has a law or an ordinance along those lines that, in your opinion, does not violate state statute.
That's correct.
But the problem here is that, and you know, I've got the letter that you sent to the city council here in front of me. The problem here is that that's not what they're doing. They're trying to change things that are a matter of statewide law. As you mentioned, community property, inheritance property. You know, these are things that typically are argued over in state court, not in a municipal court. So, I find it hard to disagree with that position legally. I don't see how, community property. People aren't filing for divorce in municipal court. They aren't arguing over appointments of personal representatives. That's a probate matter. It goes to state court. I think it's pretty hard to disagree that these are all issues that wind up under the jurisdiction of the state and not of the city. That's correct. Yeah, as I said before, I feel like this kind of came out of nowhere, but you are acting on it pretty quickly, and this has certainly turned up a lot of talk, a lot of buzz in the news. I was just reading something that E.J. Montini put out, and Lori Roberts has weighed in on this as well in the Arizona Republic. A lot of their criticism of what you're doing here seems to be, again, that along policy lines. I know that E.J. Montini, excuse me, said something along the lines of that, it's a shame that this little town has to be on the right side of history and the rest of the state has to be on the wrong side of history, something like that. I know the point you're trying to make here today is that this is not a policy thing. This is a law thing.
Exactly. He may be right. They might be on the right side of history, and the rest of the state might be on the wrong side of history, but they don't have the power to pass a city ordinance that violates state statutes.
So technically, there could be such a thing as a civil union that would not run afoul of state law, and that could apply just in a particular city.
Correct.
All right. As I said earlier, you're planning to file a suit pretty quick on this, and I guess that's where we'll leave that issue. Let me ask you, Tom, is there anything else going on right now in the Attorney General's office? I saw you just put out a press release, too, about extradition of a high-ranking drug cartel member.
Yeah, that's really important. The way Colombia conquered its drug problem was to start extraditing drug cartel leaders to the United States where they could be prosecuted without the corruption that they had in Colombia coming into it. And I established a task force with the Federal Marshal's Office about a year ago to work together on extraditions, and the Marshal's Office is doing a terrific job, and we're working together very well, and we have this fellow arrive in Phoenix last night to face trial here for his work with the drug cartel.
Yeah, it's good. We got just about 2 minutes here before we go to the break, but I just want to say you're doing a great job over there, Tom, as Attorney General. Is there anything else that you'd like to get out there on the air?
Well, I think you've covered the immediate things, and I value our friendship. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Jack Wilenchik, by the way. People tell me...
Oh, this is Jack. Okay.
My voice sounds so similar.
Okay. Hi, Jack. Say hi to Dennis for me.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Tom, for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jack.
All right.
Bye.